The USA are flying, but are they genuinely elite or just bullying weaker opposition? Scotland talked about making history. Did they actually freeze on the biggest stage? Morocco, are they genuine tournament contenders or do they lack ambition? Brazil finally turned up, but does beating Haiti prove anything at all? And also, we will get to the debacle that is Turkey. Hello my friends and welcome to this awesome FUT IN review, World Cup Daily number 19. What day at the World Cup, night or evening, no matter where you are in the world, it's been absolutely amazing. But who better to have on than the man himself, the myth, the legend, the genius that he is, wearing that beautiful orange kit. It is my very good friend John.
Well, that's some introduction. Good morning to you.
Mate, I think you're the only person that's smiling. Shaq was meant to be on, but he is a bit held up. So you are the one person who's smiling. And we won't spoil our preview, but do you think you'll be smiling tomorrow morning?
Of course.
Amazing. Let's get to it then. Let's get to the first game. USA versus Australia. USA looked like a team comfortable with the pressure of being the host nation. Australia arrived with that usual Aussie confidence after previous strong performances, but struggled to create enough. The question is, John, has the USA gone from being the tournament's hype team to a serious threat, or have we not seen them tested?
I think it was also something to do with the Australian tactic here. Australia definitely went in not trying to concede a goal and go from there, which didn't end up very well since they scored up really early as well. Then they changed tactics in the second half, right? And then I think we got a proper football fight. I think USA actually looked really good. Tactical, Poch has it all figured out, I think. I was a little bit disappointed by Pepi. When Pepi, I heard that Pepi would start, I expected more from him. I've seen him play a lot this year. That was a little bit disappointing. I think he had a poor match, unfortunately for him. In the end, I think this could be ended a draw, right? Australia definitely fought for it. Could end the draw. And I did expect it to be a little bit harsher, this one. Like I said, I've seen a friendly happen, like go out of the rails last year, right? And there was a lot of pressure and a lot of fight between Australia and the US. There were a lot of US pundits that said it would be a walkover and Australia has nothing to do on this World Cup, etc., etc. So there was a lot of fire going on. But at the first half, the US didn't even allow Australia to make like a good foul or actually get that heat going. I think it's a mismatch from tactics, unfortunately. I think in the end, Australia deserved more, but it was already too late when they started football. And they're a little bit unlucky. They could have scored, and then we could have had like a good match. But hats off to the US. Started well, qualified as well now. Properly tested. Probably not, because when the second half turned around, they were on a lot of pressure, and I don't know yet.
So if the USA reach the quarterfinals, John, do we have to stop calling them a future football nation and admit that they've finally arrived?
When the World Cup would have had 32 two-player teams in it, yes. But when you have home advantage and you play for 90,000 of your own fans in a stadium that is yours with not the worst group to be in, I'm going to say quarterfinal is that, and that'll be all. I'm trying not to to be this genuine about the chances, because they did actually play really good football. But it goes a little bit like when I see the MLS, there's still a lot of matches that are like third division Dutch team that we see play, right? In pace and in tactics. There's a lot of good football as well. There's good footballers coming in, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of talent coming in. But I also don't think they're there yet. I see people saying they'll have World Cup contenders. I wouldn't go that far. No.
Right. Unfortunately, John, we need to move on to Scotland versus Morocco, and thank you so much for talking about it. Let's go to the next game. No, to say it's a disappointment, let's start first of all. Scotland punished early. You've got Hanley, looking like he's from Easter Island and running like one of the statues. Um, you know, Saibari, as I call him. I know you've probably got his proper name. Playing for PSV, 55 million, I believe, going to Bayern Munich. Absolutely lashing the ball into the net. So Scotland punished early and then struggled to break down Morocco's organisation. Morocco showed the same tournament toughness that have made them a semi-final force previously. And Scotland's fight was admirable, but questions must remain about our creativity. So the question to you, John, is: did Scotland lose because Morocco were brilliant, or because Scotland played not to lose?
I think the second part is more fair. I think Scotland started off with, if you get a draw here, we'll be fine. It's all good. I think Morocco started off with, let's just go full out and win this match because we need to. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit naive from the Scottish side because, this team can play football. I think Saibari was definitely underestimated. He has had a couple of good chances as well. Second half, Scotland was much better though. But in the end, I do think Scotland lacks creativity against a team that will lean back, unfortunately. I basically what the Dutch squad has, but I think the Scots have even more. There's no speed in the team either, if that makes sense.
So no, you're absolutely right.
There's the stability, they got technique, they got tactics. It's a pretty strong team. Like they're strong players, physically strong. But it's going to be hard to create much chances. So if you get a chance, you got to make it count. And that's definitely what Morocco did at the start, right? I mean, Saibari is a force to be reckoned with. I've seen him play at Feyenoord to score some insane goals this year. Where I'm like, how can you actually stop this? He's growing out of this level. Bayern Munich saw that as well. They signed him, I think, 2 days ago. And he definitely showed the world why Bayern was good at signing him early on in the tournament. So, well done, I think. I do think Morocco, defensively, not too strong, though, if I'm honest. I think there were chances for Scotland in the end as well. So I'm not too sure. I think if Morocco plays the football, plays a fighting football, use Hakimi to go over the wing and play that game, I think they are a really cool team. If they lean back, though, I don't think that's their strength, if I'm honest.
I mean, one thing I was going to ask you, John, and I know you watched the game because we were chatting through last night here in Europe. Scotland are on top. Scotland are dominating the last 10, 15 minutes, and they've got Morocco penned back. And then Clarke makes some strange substitutions from a Scottish point of view. So I know you won't know all the players, but let me just explain where I'm coming from. Lyndon Dykes comes on, which is a strange one for us. He's not a huge goal scorer, but he gives us that focal point, that physical presence. And then Scotland are on top. So you can see Morocco are starting to struggle a little bit. McTominay's starting to dominate the game. And then he makes a strange substitution. He brings on Stewart, which is an extra striker, and Ralston at right back. Scotland are on top at that point. At that point, you've got two new players coming into the game, and it seems to disrupt the flow. Because if I be honest with you, the last 7 or 8 minutes, Scotland were nowhere near where they were before. So from a manager's point of view, should Clarke have just said, do you know what, we're on top, I'm going to leave it. The players look tired, but they're in their groove and they're playing well, and we could potentially get a chance? Or was he right to gamble?
I don't know if it's there's often much more to substitutions than what we see from the sidelines. It could very much be that they already agreed with one player that he's not fit enough to complete the match, for example, and we wouldn't even know it, right?
Yeah.
I've heard that before this year where I'm like, why do we sub like this at Feyenoord, for example? And then it's like, yeah, we already agreed with the medical staff we can't play more than 70 minutes. Like, oh, yeah, then it makes sense and there's no other option. So I didn't hear his explanation after the match, so did he say something about it?
I mean, to be fair, the press in Scotland have been relatively calm about it. They've praised Scotland's. Almost felt like, it's a slightly different game to us, and of course, me as a fan is easy to be disappointed and upset with But we have to be sort of go, do you know what? Morocco are a better team than Scotland. You have to hold your hands up with that. But at that point, as I say, the last 10, 15 minutes, if Scotland get a goal and we get 4 points, we get the draw, you don't have to play them again. in the third match. The third match is a dead rubber. You're pretty much guaranteed to qualify at that point. So I just found it very strange. And everybody was complaining that Dykes came on, but as I say, he gave you that physical presence. You and I have talked about using Brobbey and Weghorst, in the Netherlands if they need to, be a battering ram sort of thing. And that's why he came on. He was starting to bully the defence, which then allowed McTominay to come in to the game, I think, more, because there's been a problem of where we play him this tournament.
Yeah, but I think this is where exactly what the Dutch faced last week. You play against a team that starts leaning back, so speed won't do much of a difference anymore from that point on. And it's what we'll see. We'll talk about Sweden in a moment, but that means you gotta have like a big guy up front. And you saw Scotland just tossing the ball in, right? Keep crossing in, keep crossing in. And if this is the guy for Scotland that has the best chance of holding the ball or getting the ball fumbled in there, I kind of get the substitution, if I'm honest. Get the idea behind it, let's put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be fair, we're focusing on Scotland. I'm a Scot, so I'm focused on Scotland. I have to say how good Morocco were. There's no two ways about it. But just one last question on it, we'll move on to the next game, John. Don't bore our listeners too much with Scotland. The McTominay problem. He's had a great couple of seasons at Napoli. He's revitalised himself. The way Scotland play him, would you push him further forward?
Well, I don't know if you have a team to push him much more forward without leaving huge gaps, right? So I got what you're saying, but at his current team, there's backup for him when he's out of position. I don't think Scotland has that, so you can't really do much with him. And the thing is, though, it looks like currently you feel like he's not getting the chances on goal that he normally would get. Problem is, though, if he plays out of position too much in this current Scotland team, I think, for what I can see from the sidelines, I'm afraid your midfield will just get dominated and he will get no balls at all to even get a single chance in. Especially like great midfield teams like this Morocco or the Brazilian team, right? So I get what you're saying. I think it's a little bit naive looking at the rest of the team to say he should be pushing forward.
Well, look, we'll move on. We're still there. Do you know what I mean? We're still there. We moved to Miami.
I mean, to be fair, 1-0 loss here doesn't mean a thing. I just wish you guys would have beaten Haiti with a little bit more goals. But then again, talk about that in a moment. I think 3 points, still got a pretty good chance to go on. Brazil, if you get a draw, you're solid. If you lose 1-0, you're probably still solid. So.
Okay, let's talk about them. Let's talk about the mighty Brazil versus Haiti. Brazil answered Brazil answered their criticism with a comfortable win. Vinny Jr. central to their attacking threat. Haiti leave with loads and loads of credit for competing, but Brazil's quality eventually showed. So, John, the question for you are Brazil back, or are we just falling for the Brazil shirt and expecting magic every time?
One thing I should say before we start this conversation is that away kit from Brazil is a pretty cool away kit. Just put that down.
It'd still be yellow, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but if they play blue, this one is actually a pretty cool variant of that. So gotta applaud them that. Like, okay, Brazil versus Haiti, you expect Brazil to win. I think he switched Cunha in this match. I think that was a good. Shaq said it before as well, but I think that showed the getting behind skills of Cunha is really cool. We've seen him given a lot of chances from just passing from midfield. Also, some of these passes from I think it's Bruno, right? And one pass for Paqueta to Cunha was amazing, and he missed the chance, but that shows some skill. He didn't play all that defensive though. Like they all the fullback, all the midfield on the midfield when they were building up, lots of space to go in behind against a fast attacking Brazilian squad. So I found it pretty naive how Haiti's played this match. If that makes sense. 3-0, I think a fine result, but I don't think Brazil's back. I sound like you're a real Mr. Negative today, but Alisson made some couple good saves though in this match against a Haiti team that hasn't got any like super standout players. And and they gave a couple of chances away against this Brazil. I don't know if this Brazil team is that good, if I'm honest. I think...
Well, let me ask you this then, John. So this is the last question I was going to ask you. So is this a Brazil team that can win the tournament, or do they still rely too much on moments from their superstars?
I don't. I could see them being knocked out in the quarterfinals, if I'm honest. Like I said, I think the wingbacks are just poor, like really not good enough for this level, and that comes from one of the biggest Alexandro fans in the world. But I don't think he has it anymore. I think midfield with Casemiro. Yes, he's strong. Yes, he's got some passes, but he's old man. Not to, like saying this old man saying it, but I don't think that's it. I feel like if you lean back against this Brazil, which we've shown in the first match with Morocco a little bit, right? It's not too hard to defend. Yes, Vinicius can have these moments where he's just undefendable by everyone, right? Did Raphinha get injured, by the way? Is he?
I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see that. It looked like a particularly good game, I must admit. But
I think if not for those wingers, Raphinha and Vinicius, there's not too much in this team. And if he get away from the through balls, like if you put a good 5 back in, for example, or you just don't step out too much, I don't see how they will create too many chances. So I think if this Brazil plays Japan, for example, right? I see Japan just overrunning them on the counters.
it says that he's apparent right hamstring injury.
Yeah, I didn't look too good, so that's why.
Yeah, yeah. So potentially that could be an issue. But I suppose, John, look, the World Cup's in the USA. Okay, American football is based on moments. So, can you win the World Cup with moments from Vinny Jr. and Hendrick, Cunha, or someone who just, you win 1-0 all the way to the end of the tournament? Is that possible, or are you thinking eventually you're going to lose out?
They don't have it. Like, France was such a standout team so far for me that I don't see anyone beating them this tournament at all. I think the way USA plays against, if USA would play this Brazil team, they would have a big issue with them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw Morocco actually almost winning this match as well, right? They could have just. Let me just make this a clear point. I don't think this Brazil team is strong enough. They are experienced, but if you take out Vinny, probably it's a done deal.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so let's move on to potentially one of the biggest shocks of the tournament so far. We have Turkey versus Paraguay, the late game or early game, no matter how you want to pull it. So Paraguay pulls off one of the shocks of the group stage with a 1-0 win, surviving huge pressure from Turkey. Turkey had plenty of the ball and chances, but couldn't dominate into goals. A familiar World Cup problem, possession without punishment. Paraguay showed the ugly side of tournament football. Defend, suffer, take your moment. So, John, is Turkey the latest example of a team with more talent than mentality? Because having better players means nothing if you can't handle a World Cup moment.
I think they subdued to their own pressure, right? They were the dark horses coming in for many people, including themselves. And they did definitely let the world know that they were coming to get this World Cup. Which, there's something to believe in winning it, and there's something to be, going flat on your nose on saying it. The first match was already a sort of similar story, unfortunately. This one as well. I mean, conceding a goal in the second minute is just lack of focus, no matter how you call it. Like we saw with Scotland, they weren't prepared for that yet. We saw it with Turkey, not good enough yet. Just you're not turned on. You're not switched on before you start a match. If you concede that early, that easy.
Mm-hmm.
And Paraguay, I said before, they didn't lose 8 matches in a row or something, or didn't lose anything. Mostly draws, 1-1s or 0-0s, 0-1 wins. They concede hardly any goals. It's a fighter team. If you're behind against Paraguay, it's going to be a tough nut to crack. I didn't expect them to take so many shots in and still didn't crack though. But yeah, what can I say? Dark horses out of the tournament now.
Yeah, no,
They're out.
definitely.
Whatever happens now. So
No, I understand that. So, John, the Dutch are famous not just for football, for straight talking. So, I'm going to ask you this question.
oh yeah, let all the online haters come to me again. It's fine.
So, which statement is the biggest lie? So, we're looking for the biggest lie. USA are title contenders, Morocco can beat anyone, or Brazil are back.
Oof, and I have to choose.
You have to choose.
I do think Morocco could beat anyone at a good day. So I mean, it's a tough nut to crack. So you could potentially lose a match, although I don't think they'll stand a chance against France, for example. But if you play France 10 times, they could have won one. So it could happen. So let's take that out of the equation here, right?
So USA or Brazil then? Who are we upsetting today?
Well, no, I've seen the numbers and the USA listeners to us. I think USA will win the World Cup then.
So what you're saying, John, is the biggest lie is Brazil are back then?
Yeah, I don't see that happening, to be fair, no. I think the thing is, though, I don't see USA win the World Cup, to be fair. I think it's a pretty cool team. It is tactically very sound, but it definitely has weak spots. And there's too many good teams to take advantage of those weak spots, right? If they face Germany, if they face Spain, if they face France, it will probably end up horribly. If they face Japan, they could walk into that counterattack. Face the Netherlands could have the same effect. So I think there's that. But they do have home advantage. They do have the momentum. So it could potentially be a dark horse. Well, I just don't see this Brazil doing, like, it didn't swing yesterday either, right? Brazil won 3-0, but it's not like they got 10 chances in. Or it's not like, and it's not that if Alisson don't save him, it could easily be 2-2 in the end. So no, I think Brazil's back is then probably the biggest lie, although I don't like the word lie in this sense.
So there you are, folks. FUT in Review have said it to you. The biggest lie in the World Cup so far is Brazil are back. John, let's quickly move on. So I know you think I like to dig you out about the Dutch, but they are one of my favourite teams. Let's be honest. That beautiful orange kit that you're wearing there, the fans are going to be amazing. It's just so disappointing because if you look at the current situation, the Netherlands and Scotland could play each other in the next round, which imagine those fans. That is a fan off that one. There will be not enough beer in whatever city that they go with. The bagpipes, the left, right, that would be absolutely amazing. But we've got Netherlands versus Sweden. And I think, as I said to you, I think earlier, I think the Netherlands have got 2 jackpot games. It's probably the hardest of the big 7 teams, I would say, to start. So what we've got is 2 European sides with different identities. The Netherlands bring technical quality and attacking variety. Sweden have shown that they can be dangerous in transition and physical, difficult to break down. Do you know what I mean? So we've got Netherlands possession versus Sweden's defensive structure. Who better to break that down than the coach himself, John? Please break it down for me.
Yeah, so I've been boasting the Dutch chances this week for the game versus Sweden. I don't rate this Sweden team too high, if I'm quite honest. I said that before. I think it's a pretty decent team, but it's Graham Potter, right? Coaching that.
Yes.
So basically, it's going to be 5 at the back, lean back, hope for a counter with Isak and Kyrgios, which is probably the best tactic and the only tactic that's viable for this team. And that sounds really harsh. The biggest issue is that the Dutch have trouble with teams like barricading themselves. And that's why if the Dutch come a little bit further, I'm not too worried about it. Because if they play a Spain, if they play a Brazil, or a team that also wants to play football, I'm pretty happy with how the Dutch team stands. The problem is if you bury yourself like Japan did in the first match, all your fast strikers are pretty much like they won't make a difference. And we've got speed. That's those top 3 are speedy attackers, right? But if I were Koeman tonight, I'd probably start Brobbey over Malen. And I think Malen is definitely the better striker, but just I don't think you'll get a run in behind the team tonight against Sweden. You get that run in once you're 2-0 up, for example, but you will not get it. I think that's the biggest concern. Who you play as striker tonight, what tactic you go. I expect the Dutch to be like, before the first hydration break, have 75% possession. I expect them to get near to no shots in because they just barricade themselves. The only good thing is we've got Van der Ven, we've got Dumfries, so there's speed to get those counters out as well. It's going to be a tactical game again, first half for sure, with, I think, little excitement, unless there's an early goal from the Dutch. Then the Swedes have to come, and then we'll get some counter. So it's hoping for an early goal. My tactical mind says it's going to be a slow match with high possession for the Dutch. A couple of shots in, be wary of the counter, which means we'll probably get a Dutch for Netherlands versus Japan retake on it. And the thing is, will you start your slow striker, but the big guy, to get balls in and hope for getting a goal in? Or do you, and then later on, sub your fast striker in? The problem is, if you concede a goal early on, when you do that, you have to bring your fast striker in, but that doesn't mean much. So it's a gamble, I think, and I'm expecting Koeman to start with the fast strikers, hope for an early goal, and have your backup plan ready. But it could backfire. That's my totally honest. I don't think Sweden is any better, but yeah, you got those counters. If the Swedes scores from a counter.
Yeah, I mean that's the Dutch nightmare, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure Sweden's listeners are saying we should be talking about Sweden as well. You know, they've got some great strikers, Gyökeres, Isak. You know, those are big names, big players in the Premiership as well. But the problem would be, I think, for the Dutch is if Sweden score first, then you've definitely got to park the bus. You know what I mean, and another bus behind that as well at the same time, and then you're looking at. So I agree with you. I think you play Brobbey to rough up and batter, you know, the centre backs, to allow the likes of Hapko or Donyell and Malen to come on and run. Then when you know people get tired, and the conditions may play a factor as well.
You can start Hapko for sure, right? That's fine. You can start, I think, Summerville as well, but just start with Hapko and not have the speed to the center. Let Dumfries overlap, let Van der Ven overlap, and toss the ball in. It's just going to be an issue with the I'm excited for this game because the thing is, if the Dutch score early, it could also easily be a 4-0 victory.
Yeah,
against this team. If you don't score early, it's going to be a tactical game and a low-scoring game in the first half, or you don't see any chance at the first half. And if the Swedes score early, which I can't really see happening too much, except it's for a mistake somewhere. If they score early, then it's going to be a nightmare of a game to watch, I'm afraid. One-on-one, I don't think there's any. I think Gyökeres and Isak are better strikers than the Dutch have, right? Although I don't think Isak is that much better than Gapko, honestly, if you look a bit, compare them. The only thing is I saw that De Jong has a mild concussion. If you miss Frenkie De Jong, that's an issue, though.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. No, look, as I say to John, I know you think I did get out of the time about the Dutch. I want the Dutch to do well. 100% want them to do really well. Scottish fans have a real...
Yeah, if they progress, they will do well. Because if they play teams that want to play football, it's not going to be an issue at all. It's just it's a hard group to be in. And I think the most fun game will be the last game, Sweden against Japan, because you get two teams that really don't want to play up front. So that's going to be a weird game to watch, and might be two teams that might have to go all out. So it could be interesting. I don't see any concerns versus Tunisia, for example, right?
Yeah, no, I think to be fair, you're pretty much through. I think even if you were to suffer a defeat tonight, which would be difficult, but I think even to suffer defeat, you'll still go through. You'll have enough. You'll have 4 points. It might make the route a little bit more difficult, but that's
yeah. But that's the thing. I wouldn't mind the Dutch having good opposition next on. Like, just give them Brazil or let them play a very attacking France team. I don't mind that too much, because then you either go out and you're like, okay, well, they were just too good, or you go through because then suddenly those players are having the space to move around. If you give Frenkie de Jong space to move, he's one of the best, and if not, maybe the best number 6 in the world, right? But if he has to play against 10 people just standing around the box, it's like, yeah, what now? What? So, yeah, it's just unfortunately a big. And that's what I said with Brazil versus Haiti. Haiti just played up front; they went all out pretty much and didn't hold back. And then a Brazil team can play. They're the same with the Dutch. Then you can suddenly play football. You can get in behind, and you're solid. But yeah. If Graham Potter wasn't the coach of Sweden, I wouldn't have hesitated here. But I'm afraid we're just going to play 10 men in the box in the first half.
No, it's going to be a great game. I'm so looking forward to it, John, and thank you so much for joining me on Saturday. Hopefully we've managed to whet the appetite for tonight's game and go over the bones of yesterday's games, which were exciting to a point, let's just say. Disappointing for Shaq and I. Our team's not doing well. But, this World Cup is starting to look less like who has the biggest names, but more about who can stay calm when everything gets messy. And one thing about this podcast, we stay calm as best we can. So please follow us on Instagram at FUT IN Review, or at TikTok, FUT IN Review Podcast. The 5-star reviews are rolling in. Thank you so much, but we love them. So please keep them coming. It literally takes a few seconds to do. So please do that. If you know someone who's at the World Cup who wants to know about it, or is into the World Cup and hasn't heard about us, please share this episode. We really would appreciate it. And for our Patreon supporters, thank you for all your support. And our prediction league is going well. The sweep's doing well. And we love the fact that you support us so well. But the show will be with you almost immediately. John, do you have any final words for our listeners out there?
Yeah, so I saw Harry Maguire selling those trading cards in New York. Don't know if you saw that, just in the stand, those trading cards. I just wanted to give a shout out to Harry Maguire that if he just wants to join a casual podcast about the World Cup, he's more than willing to come on. That's fine. I'll even buy some trading cards from you, so that's fine.
Amazing. Thank you, mate. Have an amazing Saturday. Enjoy the game tonight. And maybe it's not coming home.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.